points, be engaged in the comment sections, and invite anybody that cares to listen. Even those who don't want to, force them to listen, because it's very important for them to listen directly from the horse's own mouth. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome in the studio Dr. Julius Nyih, the Vice President of the Ambazonia Governing Council and the Deputy Leader of the Ambazonia War of Liberation. Thank you very much, sir, for taking our time to join me this evening to talk to your people. So please go ahead and talk to your people. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam PS. Your place day. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, Ambazonians, wherever you find yourself around the globe, especially those who are incarcerated in jails in La Republique, in Nigeria, as well as in Europe and the US, who have been fighting, who have been advocating for the Ambazonian people to be free, to be recognized as a people. I also wish to thank everyone else within the organization outside of the Ambazonia Governing Council that has relentlessly supported in whatever way the dignity, the freedom of the Ambazonian people. Today, we'll delve a little bit more into the workings of the roadmap to the actualization of our freedom in 2025. This generation has told the occupier, La République du Cameroon, through our actions, our postures, our strategies, that their end in Ambazonia is near, that they are barbarians. In Ambazonia, you will see them no more. So the Egyptians that you see them parading our street in armored cars, you will see them no more.
We shall see them no more. Amen. That was a very good one to close with. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. And that is to tell you that even though he holds the gun with one hand, he also holds the Bible with the other, because it's two, they work hand in glove. So thank you very much, sir. And Ambazonians are very delighted to see that you've been giving them directions and showing them the path, the way forward for the liberation. Because, sir, many were of the opinion that when Dr. Cho Ayaba is taken out, there will be no Ambazonia or no AGovC. But this has not been the case since the arrest of our president, Dr. Cho Ayaba. What word of encouragement, or what can you say in respect to this before I go deep into this? Because this is something that has been in the minds of people and it has discouraged a lot of people, but you have proven them otherwise. So please talk to your people, sir.
Thank you so much for that question. Fellow Ambazonians, Dr. Cho Ayaba embodied your aspirations. They embodied the ideas for which Ambazonia is fighting to get rid of the occupier. And as such, I came on the scene because the conspiracy of the international system, originating from the United States, but engineered by Cameroon, made it that your Iroko tree, Dr. Cho Ayaba, is detained in the hope that by decapitating the leadership, they could find a leeway in order to continue fighting. But also it was proof to the Ambazonian people and the international community that unable to beat us on the ground, they now open another route, another pathway, another fight, the legal fight. We have stayed together not because of my abilities, but because of the structures and processes that embody the Ambazonian Governing Council that Dr. Cho Ayaba himself laid. So whether it's Dr. Cho yesterday, Dr. Nyih tomorrow, or the day after, I can assure you that the Ambazonian Governing Council will stay, because those you find within the Ambazonian, I presume that they were carefully selected through divine grace to not betray your cause. We have seen many organizations come and go. Many organizations come and shatter. But I can assure you that the Ambazonia Governing Council is that organization with the able people in it, and with your support from the outside, will liberate Ambazonia. Without this generation of people in the Ambazonia Governing Council, there is no hope in this generation for Ambazonia to be free. So as such, as my dad would always say, if nobody congratulates you, AGovCs, all the supporters beyond AGovCs, give yourself a pat on the back that you will never relent.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your leadership. And AGovC is striving because they have incredible leaders that work with the people, and not leaders that come and impose on the people. That has been the success story of AGovC, because the leaders pull everybody along and allow people to function in their respective capacities, and they just give them guidance. And we cannot appreciate you enough for the incredible work that you've been doing so far. And Mr. Vice President, there's been a lot of agitation on it has been like a norm for La République du Cameroon that on the 31st of December, the old vampire comes out and give a New Year's speech and whatever plan that they have for Cameroon. And some Cameroonese were waiting to see you as the leader, because you are the current leader of the liberation now, to come out parallelly to also give a speech on Ambazonian struggle and where we are. But shockingly, you were nowhere to be found, not even on the first, not on the second, not on the third, not on the fifth. There is already a change on everything there. The way people operated before, and we are seeing this drastic change. Educational system is changing. Even talking to your people, addressing your people, you are putting it in a very different way. So what is this message you're passing to the world, sir?
Thank you so much for that question. The Ambazonian quest for freedom and the dynamics that shape it constantly change. And with every new leader or new person occupying a particular position, there are different ways of working, which in aggregate become effective and efficient. So my approach was not to follow Cameroon. Cameroon and Ambazonia are two parallel countries, parallel lines. So the appearance of a 93-year-old senile president whose speech was even disregarded by his own people, where some people broke their TVs just watching him lie, watching him talk, devolved from reality of what is happening in his country. You realize that we needed to consult more. So it was a time of consultation within the organization and beyond, so that our strategies are refined from ground zero through to the diaspora before we come out. And that we only come out to give you what matters, to provide directions, strategies, and policies, and not any social media postulation or posturing.
Thank you very much, sir. And that is, it's very important that you make this very clear to some of them that think they still live in the illusion that we are still Cameroon, or that we will be functioning the same way that Cameroon functions, because any country that will try to replicate the functionality of Cameroon is doomed for destruction. So there is no way Ambazonia will go down that path. So, Mr. Vice President, today we want to talk about the actualization. We talk about the liberation tax, which is the baby of the organization. And we want to talk about diplomacy, and we'll also talk a little bit about the detention of the leader and also the way forward. We know that you came out 2 days ago or a few days ago, and you just pour out fire on La République du Cameroon, and you gave so much hope to Ambazonians when you came out and you started talking about what we are planning, plans that are in place. We are talking about the blueprint that you brought on board. So, sir, Just in a few words, again, I would just like you to summarize the few things that you know that are most important for the actual for the way for our struggle at the point in which we are right now, so that people will know that we are moving from this space to this one, from this stage to this one, till when you said 2025 is the year that we are settling. Please talk to us, sir.
2025 will be written down in history as the year that the official recognition of Ambazonia began. In little less than a week today, that process will begin officially, and you will be informed, Ambazonians, when appropriate. 2025 is the year that the Ambazonia Governing Council, with the support of the Ambazonian community, especially nationalists and those who believe in our freedom, will witness a shift from targeted diplomacy to strategic diplomacy, whereby we don't go and knock at the doors anymore. We sit on the table and decide the fate of Cameroon in Ambazonia. We decide how Cameroon is going to walk out of Ambazonia. 2025 is the year, based on our current engagements, that finally the Ambazonian people will see the glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel, because the international system will pivot towards Ambazonia. Remember, Dr. Cho said, when the time will come, they will come to us. For the last 8 years, and even before then, we have gone to the international community. I can assure you that we are now with the international community and they are coming to us. In terms of self-defense, we are making sure that Cameroon that is defeated, Cameroon is vomited in Ambazonia. We all know that. Cameroon is even its leaders, its Octogorian leaders are vomited by their own population. Their leadership is devolved from reality. They are living in a bubble. And as such, we understand that Cameroon, just like in all revolutions, are going to use traitors, enablers, in order to show some perceived form of reality. We are ready for them. We are training, and we'll move that number up to 1,000 commandos to make sure that their political experiment to legitimize elections in Ambazonia will not go ahead. And as such, our forces have indicated that they will be ready to make sure that anyone that goes against the laws of Ambazonia in terms of elections, celebration of false national days and youth days, days that never existed, days that were created in order to blindfold, in order to continue occupation, are not celebrated in Ambazonia. In terms of self-defense, the collaboration on ground will continue. The forces say they would use the liberation tax in order to make sure that every Ambazonia, every fighting unit has a possible chance of survival, a possible chance of beating Cameroon hands down. And it is the year that for once you would see that our self-defense forces, based on the strategies they have presented, will be able to put more pressure on Cameroon, who are on the defensive. Cameroon has not carried out a single offensive operation in the last 3 months. They have been on the back foot and they will be on the back foot. In terms of community mobilization, it is our plan to reach out to all movements once again, to explore options. We have no agenda. Explore options on how we can work together, especially in diplomacy, in preparation for any negotiations, because we know Cameroon will be beaten on the battlefield, but also on how we can continuously mobilize our people. Areas where contentions may occur, we will keep them aside for future elaboration.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. You've literally touched on the triad approach of the organization, which is what I was trying to come to. Because over the years, we've worked with the triad approach presented by the organization. You've touched about internationalization, diplomacy. You've talked about self-defense and also even community mobilization. So this has been in place in the last 8 years. Why is there any difference today? Because you are very certain, because this is what the organization or the leadership has used over the years, but you sound too confident again with this same approach. Has there been an addition or subtraction to this blueprint that you've been working with in the past 8 years, sir?
The triad approach, now the quadrat approach with the addition of the legal side, is a strategy, and you look at it as buckets that contain tools, and each tool is used based on the circumstances. The triad approach has been changed depending on the dynamic situation we face. The triad approach simply means some 3 big buckets, visualized in that way, wherein you have different tools that you take at each moment in order to execute a particular task based on the task in front of you. And we've been very consistent that in each elaboration of a particular strategy, we explain which tool within the triad approach and now the quadrat approach we are using. And as such, if you look at our diplomacy this year, is different from the diplomacy that we carried last year. However, it's based on the achievements of last year that have catapulted us to what we are engaging in this year.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And we've seen that Ambazonians have also engaged, and they have very strategic partners now. And like you said, diplomacy this year is different from the one that we had last year. Last year, at the close of the year, you delegated the Secretary General of the organization to represent you in the Basque for during the one of the national celebrations. And I know that you also delegated the deputy defense chief to go to Finland to join the Biafrans in the declaration of their independence. Do we have any other strategic partners when it comes to diplomacy and all of these strategic relationships we are creating with these countries? Do we have other strategic partners that you will want us to know, or that we are working with, but you choose to hold them just for, for strategic reasons, for us not to bring that on board?
Going forward in the Ambazonian quest for freedom, and in line with the new operational strategy in the organization, and also based on the fact that lots of spoilers and enablers would call to give a false narrative who is the true representative of the Ambazonian people, we have decided that only results would be announced. No need again to talk about our pathways. We are engaging with partners both in Africa and in the West. For now, Asia, no. In order to see how this issue can be resolved by tackling the root causes. As I said, we have also, for the first time, play to the game of capitalism by engaging a legal firm or a lobby firm. In the coming days, that will be made public, and the results of such engagement will also start trickling out. As I said, no processes will be discussed. The strategies might be discussed, but only the results will be presented to the Ambazonian people. I am a hands-on person and not a rhetorical person.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Ambazonians have often seen the AGovC as a typically defense organization, but they've never really seen the political part of the organization. But from what you're telling us now, there has been a lot of work going on, and the people have never been really aware. So, are you saying that AGovC is open to not just self-defense, but you are engaging in other aspects that can definitely bring Cameroons to its knees?
Exactly. We have engaged in those aspects in the past, but in relative terms, they have been less so significant as self-defense. Self-defense was required in order to halt the advancements of Cameroon military into the villages. They would have burned more than 1,000 villages. They would have killed more than 70,904 people as of 1st January 2025 if self-defense wasn't invoked. However, in terms of reach out to humanitarian organizations, to diplomatic partners and institutions, we have been doing so, but it has taken a new turn, a more accentuated turn in 2025, because we believe that hand in glove with self-defense is going to deliver Ambazonia sooner than most people would think. Ambazonia would be free to the surprise of many people internally and externally because of the activities, the new political negotiation, diplomatic activities that we are engaged in.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for bringing that much clarity to that point. And I will not want to belabor much on diplomacy because you have said it, and it's not about throwing everything out there, but bringing results to Ambazonians like you have been doing in the last couple of months. So I want us to go back into what affects Ground Zero the most. We want to talk about the Ambazonian Liberation Tax. And the liberation tax has been the baby of Ambazonia, a process where every Ambazonian has owned it, and they believe that this is what they have to do to be able to participate in the liberation of their home country. And over the last 1 year, almost 2 years now, the liberation tax was launched, and many people have been paying the liberation tax. And there was a promise made by the leadership when they launched the liberation tax that this was really going to be what will liberate Ambazonians from La République du Cameroon. Please talk to us about the various successes and the challenges we've been having so far with the liberation tax, sir.
Thank you, Madam PS. I wish to sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the Ambazonia Governing Council and the ADF, congratulate the ADF on the ground that brought up the idea of the liberation tax. I want to also congratulate all of you, even those refugees outside of Ambazonia who have contributed their liberation tax for 2023 and 2024. The liberation tax was launched on the 24th of June, 2023. So it's just over a year and a half. And we have racked in a lot of support from that liberation tax. However, we have not reached the critical point that we earmarked for full investment. And as such, your money is safe. I know Cameroon is looking for clues of where the money is. However, Cameroon, the money is on ground zero, where you are fighting. The diaspora has been very good in contributing, and they've contributed 1/5 of that money, just over $30,000 last year alone. It shows you how the response to the liberation tax is. In ground zero, I know people are faced with issues of paying and keeping their receipts because the colonial powers want to identify who is paying. But just like in every revolution, whether it is Ukrainian defending themselves or any other country, they have self-funded their own freedom. and Ambazonians, both in the territory and outside of the territory, whether it's in Cameroon or other countries in Africa and in Europe, have contributed massively towards the liberation tax. We will launch officially the liberation tax for 2025 next week on Tuesday. And as such, I call on those who have been reaching out to the organization on the ground and in the diaspora to pay to officially come on board from the 14th of January. That also marks the day that has been set aside to decide whether to extend the detention of our CIC or to let him go. So it is a symbolic day for the Ambazonian people to show support for their leader, but also to recommit to their own liberation.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And still on liberation tax, the people, I don't know, many people have been confused and they don't know if the amount that was initially chosen for them to pay as their due has changed or it still maintains. If women are still paying the token of 5,000 a year or 10,000 for men, and if anything has changed, even though we are still coming to launch the 2025 one, has there been any changes in terms of the levy, sir?
The liberation tax was instituted following a liberation tax law or code. That law has not been revised. Once that law is revised, the Ambazonian people would know. The law of the land regarding liberation tax remains the same. The amount for men is 10,000 amber, for women is 5,000 amber on ground 0, ground 1, and other areas within Africa. In the diaspora in Europe and North America, the liberation tax stays the same at $100 per year.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. And again, in terms of collection of the liberation tax, have we changed the system of collection? Because this has to be very clear to the people. Has there been any changes in terms of collection? The people responsible for the collection, do we still have the transitional authorities responsible, fighters responsible, or we've had new set of people trained to do the collection on the ground?
We've maintained the same structures, but the people have been augmented in the fact that we did not have enough human resource capacity to collect last year. And as such, we have trained new personnel to add to ADLA on the ground. The sole authority collecting on the ground is ADLA, supported by the self-defense forces. I know Cameroon erect checkpoints in order to collect its own taxes. Cameroon arrests civilians in order to ask them to pay ransom before they are released. But our people, both in Cameroon and on the ground in the diaspora, have shown resilience. You contact the same people if you want to pay your taxes, or you go on our website and you can pay anonymously. So the systems that are working remain the same. And remember that your money is in good hands. The Ambazonia Governing Council is reputed for not only efficient and effective structures, but efficient, effective, accountable, and trustworthy personnel to handle your money, your taxes, and to prosecute the revolution according to your aspirations.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And also, just I really want to dwell a little bit more on liberation tax because this is the baby of the organization and the people's tax system. When we launched the liberation tax, we gave the leadership of the organization promised the people that with the introduction of the liberation tax, it will help to cut down extortions within our communities, all the multiple roadblocks that some fighters and fake fighters were putting up and extorting money from our people, barrier fees, and also just a level of control within our communities. And to be honest, also the tax will be used to help our those that are injured to get medical attention to our people, even help fostering our community schools. And to be honest, over the years, we've seen that there has been a lot of cut down at the level of kidnappings, even asking of burial fees, and even the roadblocks that were all over the territory have reduced significantly. And also, we've seen how community facilities for medicines have also increased. So, are we also reassuring the people that since you have delivered in this area, in the area of buying of weapons to chase La Republic out, this money is safe and they should trust the process and believe in the AGovC?
Exactly. The kidnapping for ransom roadblocks has reduced by 98%. The only roadblocks that we see in Ambazonia today are the colonial Kale, are the colonial extortion schemes, and the self-defense forces have been very proactive. We have asked them if they see any of these bills and Cameroon military personnel erecting extortion checkpoints, they should call on us, and we normally come immediately to disperse them. For if they find out that they are doing kale, as they call it, whereby you are taken to the police station or the barracks and asked to bail yourself out, and that's all, let us know. And we've been very successful in that. Kidnapping for ransom has basically disappeared. The only people still kidnapping for ransom through bail and illegal checkpoints in Ambazonia are the Cameroon military, because they are poorly paid, they have no food, they are thieves, because they also break into houses and steal belongings and ask people to come and pay to collect their belongings. So I can assure you that through the liberation tax, our communities in the liberated and dynamic areas are witnessing the healthcare centers. We have provided funds for micro projects, production of food, in agriculture, in healthcare facilities, in community schools as well, and in other innovative approaches that make our people an asset rather than a liability.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And there are still a lot of people on the ground who are still testing the waters. They say they don't want to pay their liberation taxes until they see what the outcome of what has been done, what we want to do with what we've collected before they can truly put in their money. What do you have to say to this kind of people and the francophones that are living, La Republicans that are living in our territory, using our stuff and have not been able to pay their liberation taxes? What message do you have for these people, sir?
The majority of La Republicans who are living in our territory have paid their residence permit fee, I can assure you. But there are still some strong-headed people, as you put it in quotes, who are adamant or have refused to pay. There is a penalty, just like there is a penalty for anyone that doesn't pay their liberation tax, and that is contained in the laws that established those tax systems. They are open, they are transparent. The Ambazonian Revolution is not a cartel, it's not a mafia. We don't do in illegality. We prosecute the revolution according to international law. We do everything in a transparent and accountable means. And as such, we ask anyone who has not paid their liberation tax to comply with the law. Else, the consequences are well spelled out in the tax laws. We also ask those residing within Ambazonia who have not paid their residence permit to move ahead to pay their residence permit, because the law has no limits. The law would not segregate between persons despite your rank, your role, your personality. It is the law of the land.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And also see on liberation tax, So some people are asking and they want to know if the proceeds of the liberation tax, the organization intend to use it at once so that it can see a massive round, or is something that has to be used, in installments, so it can also prevent a lot of public just jumping on and taking away everything that people have, come together to put for the liberation of their home country. So how is the organization intending to manage these funds? Is it just something they just want to come in at once, or they are using this in preparing for taking out La Republic from the land, sir?
The objective of the liberation tax is well spread out. Once we reach a critical mass, and that critical mass is well defined, we will use it at once and arm every fighter. I can also assure you that neither Cameroon nor the FBI nor any country can lay their hands on the liberation tax. It is with Adler on the ground. We are telling them where the liberation tax is. And at the appropriate time, that liberation tax will be used for what I call the last fight. What we are in now is we are preparing for the last fight. And that fight will take us over the line. And as I said, all fighters, whether ADF or not, whether sister forces or not, if they fight for the flag, under the flag, with the flag, they will be supplied with the necessary means to defend and push the occupier out of our territory at the appropriate time. And that appropriate time is within reach. And as I've spoken with the War Council, we are preparing for that last fight.
Thank you very much, sir. So I will not dwell much on liberation tax, especially because we are still going to talk about it on the 14th, which is next week. So you've talked about increasing the number of commandos on the ground without me going into issues of defense as well. I know that during the leadership of Dr. Cho Ayaba, we also had the contender forces and we also had the Akamantos. So is this a continuous increment to the fighting forces on the ground, or a replacement of certain units and all of that on the ground, sir?
It is actually, and as I would say, the increase of 1,000 commandos is in the same line as the Akamanso and the contender force that has given Cameroon a bloody nose. Cameroon knows the force on the ground. When they hear that this is an ADF barrack, they rather stand far or they attempt to come in and then retreat. But if they hear that it's a different force, then they have an opportunity to survive. So an increase in 1,000 is not only to increase the ranks, the numbers, but it's in preparation of the maneuvers that Cameroon is planning for 2025. And in order to create sleeper cells in all the different states, so they can be activated during the last push.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And that really says a lot about Ambazonia, because if we look at the progression, we started with the Changshu boys, and today we are talking about commandos. Ambazonians should give themselves a pat in the back because they've done incredibly well for themselves, defending their homeland. People who came out with bows and arrows, and today they fought a military that has been trained by the Israelites, by Americans, by many other developed countries, and well-trained military. So we just want to use this opportunity to honestly honor our fighters and appreciate them for their resilience and standing strong to defend our homeland till this day, because it's not easy, especially looking at where they started and where they are today. We just want to appreciate them for that. So let's talk about the leader of the Ambazonia World Liberation, Dr. Cho Ayaba, and his detention. I know you touched a little about it, and I know you also will not even want to dwell much on this, but just give a little update to Ambazonians, because they are always anxious to know about the CSC. Even when they pretend they don't love him, they still want to know about him.
Exactly. I think some form of love is showed through hate, and that's the
Right.
case with Dr. Cho Ayaba. He's been detained, as we know. We also know we had a correspondence from Kripos. We also know that his detention was engineered from the United States by a lawsuit in the United States court. We know that the Norwegian legal system is taking its course, and that the lawsuit is politically motivated. As it stands, Norway or the Norwegians have not found any incriminating evidence. However, they are still pursuing their case to see if they can find a smoking gun. And with all police, all prosecuting institutions around the world, it will be a slap on their face if they keep him for this long and they don't find any attempt of indicting him. They would rather indict him on false charges and let it fail in court than to let him go and they pay reparations. That's always the case. So that's what we're anticipating. The legal panel of Dr. Cho Ayaba has been expanded to include some Ambazonians as we speak. I reached out to them recently to bring them on board on a need-to-know basis. So even those Ambazonian reputable lawyers that have been brought on board might not speak to the Ambazonian people because we are still in the investigation phase. That is why there is less information, because in the investigation phase, nothing is proven and no evidence has been had by the prosecuting authority. And as such, we don't want to interfere with the collection of evidence, with the prosecution and with the defense. But rest assured that we hired a private lawyer for that regard, and we are working with other lawyers in different countries to defend Ambazonians in the US, in Europe, in Ireland, in Belgium, all over the world. And we asked Ambazonians, as we've done, to contribute to the Legal Fund Drive. The Legal Fund Drive, it's on the screen, and we'll keep publicizing that. I also thank those who have contributed. I think we are just below $15,000 for the Legal Fund Drive as it stands. And I think there are more Ambazonians willing, and non-Ambazonians willing to contribute to fight for justice, because this is a case of injustice. As I said, we now know it was politically motivated with the hand of Cameroon in them, and the lawsuit originated from the US and then used by the Norwegian system. It's also good to note that basically the Norwegian legal system doesn't have a bail process, so there is no bail. It's not uncommon in Norway to find out that the justice system compensates those who have been held in detention for crimes they didn't commit at the end. So this might also be the case with Dr. Cho, but as I said, generally the prosecuting service will never let people go to save face, but also to show that they are doing some work. And for now, this is all we can tell you. With hindsight, I also think that Dr. Cho might not be released on the 14th. Just hindsight, for the record, the Norwegians are traveling to Dublin on that date to interview me. I have voluntarily agreed to be interviewed, and they cannot be interviewing me and at the same time he is released. There are other AGovCs that the Norwegians would like to speak to. We are transparent in the prosecution of the war. We are transparent in financial transactions to help our people, to help the suffering, the incarcerated, and we are not engaged in any unlawful activities. We have simply invoked the responsibility to protect our civilians, and so we will die protecting our civilians. This generation is that generation that will bring an end to Cameroon's failed adventure in Ambazonia. So don't expect to see your president out on the 14th. It will be extended with hindsight.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And we are, all hopes are not lost. A miracle can still happen, and he can still come out on that day. But thank you very much, and I'm very glad the way you put it. The organization is open, and you have voluntarily accepted to be interviewed by them. That is to tell them that we don't have anything that we are hiding, and we hope that all Ambazonians can really get be encouraged by what you are doing and what the organization is doing. So I will not want to dwell more on this because you've really expatiated on the detention and what is happening and the legal process. But just one question. A lot of people are now saying, oh, please, they should include barrister or Dr. David Masanga in the legal defense team of Dr. Cho Ayaba. Is this something you're considering, or you would just want him to work the way he's been working, sir?
I wish to sincerely thank Dr. David Masanga. We've had a cordial relationship. He's also engaged in the legal battle. We have initiated loads of different legal fronts, and he is one of the fronts. His organization is one of the front. They have a petition the ICC, and as we speak, there are close to 45 ICC personnel, 25 in Ground Zero and 20 in La Republique, trying to look at the situation. He has also taken Norway through our discussions. All of these are through our discussions to the European Human Rights Court. So we think the Dr. Masanga is not a member of the AGovC, but his services are valuable to the Ambazonian people and the African people in general. And we think his services are best exercised outside of the organization. And we'll continuously engage him in other areas, just like we are engaging lawyers in different countries, especially in Europe and North America.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir, for bringing up that, for clarifying that point. So I will not want, I know you are a busy man. You have so many meetings lined up on your decks right now, and I don't want to keep you here for long. You've spoken to your people, they've listened, and I'm sure they are encouraged. And please, just a way forward, just to speak to these Ambazonians who maybe became discouraged when Dr. Ayaba was picked up, or who maybe feel that the war has been prolonged and this is not what they were expecting. What message do you have for them, and what way forward do we have for this struggle, sir?
Thank you so much. That's a really nice question. In Dr. Cho's words, a quest for freedom, for liberation, is not a walk in the park. It therefore means that there are ups and downs. There are days that you wake up, you feel happy. There are other days you get a punch from the enemy and you feel sad. The arrest and detention of Dr. Cho is one of the many different setbacks that we've had. We lost General Ivo. The ADF did not die. The AGovC did not die. We lost General Efang. The ADF did not die. The AGovC did not die. We lost 39 in Bui due to internal enablers. The AGovC stood strong. It is but normal that when faced with setbacks, you take a step back. The Ambazonian people took a step back, re-evaluated the situation, and realized that the foundations that the organization put in place, the ideas of the president, Dr. Cho Ayaba, are enduring, they are sustainable, and as such, that initial loss of hope has subsided, and people now believe in the organization. Some naysayers and some hopeless thinking people thought the organization was going to split, was going to be in shambles. Little did they know, for this generation, for Ambazonia to be free, without AGovC, without the ADF, we will pass the baton. But that baton is not passing because we have decided that we will fight to the last man standing. And the rejected cornerstone, the ADF, that was questioned where they were fighting, is that force that will liberate Ambazonia. Like it or leave it, we will liberate Ambazonia for all Ambazonians. And for all enablers and traitors, your days are numbered. In the Algerian Revolution, the traitors and enablers surpassed the nationalists by 5-1. Yet, the nationalists won. In no way, those who collaborated with Hitler were more than the nationalists. The nationalists in no way that are prosecuting Dr. Cho won. I will be telling their interrogators when they come here. I want them to come. That's why I volunteer. I want to educate them on what they don't know. The arrest of Dr. Cho is a wrong or little understanding of the stakes in the Ambazonian Revolution by the Norwegian authorities. And as such, I would like Ambazonians to believe in the organization. The organization is not a person. And as I said, whether I'm there today or not, whether I leave the position to somebody or not, the structures and the processes are enduring. I believe in them. And Ambazonians hold the AGovC, just like AGovCs themselves, to high esteem. The messages we've received, the calls, the texts, that please, you are our last hope. If you sell again, or if you disappoint us, these La Republique people will kill us, not only in their own country, but in Ambazonia as a trophy of war. As such, I can assure you, Ambazonian people, we will leave no stone unturned. I would rather die than submit to Cameroon. It will never happen. We have pledged that under us, this generation that is ingenious, we will fight Cameroon. And you know what? I want Cameroon to be ruled by Biya when Ambazonia is free. I know Cameroonians don't want him. They even want a devil to lead them in the next elections. I want Biya to lead them. Biya leading Cameroon is a big boost for Ambazonian resistance. Biya leading Cameroon, make sure that when Ambazonia is free, he will be able to witness what he has fought his entire 93 years against that has come to fruition. It will make me even more happy than the freedom of Ambazonia. So I want him there to witness it firsthand for himself. It also fuels our independence. Cameroon and Biya will help us more than somebody else and Cameroon.
Wow. Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Indeed, a pear can never fall far away from the pear tree. The last words were so resonating, and you sounded exactly like the CIC, and Ambazonians are so proud of you because they were looking at you. You know, sometimes when you appear, your face smiling, people don't know what you carry in you, and people sometimes think and say, oh, Dr. Nyih is just a bookman, but they don't know that you are even worse than the CIC himself. So thank you very much, sir, for taking out time to speak to your people. And just your closing remark, just to add and also speak to our prisoners, our refugees, and internally displaced persons in your closing remark, just for 1-2 minutes, sir.
Thank you so much. I will never close without thanking the civilians, the self-defense forces, whether they are the ADF forces, the sister forces, or the standalone forces, and even the forces that have been abandoned by other movements. It is your resilience. It is your belief in what you fight for that has given you the achievements that you have today. We have gone so far. Nobody, not from the diaspora, not from within Cameroon, not an enabler, can tell you that we'll go back to the mess we have left. Our quest for freedom has reached a no turning back point. The train has left the station. Anybody still thinking that Ambazonia will not be free, your resolve on the ground through your country Sundays, through the self-defense actions against Cameroon, through your civil disobedience actions, has shown Cameroon who controls the land. Those of you who are incarcerated, you have shown the enemy, even in its own courts, that they should address you as Ambazonians. The enemy used to call you terrorists. I heard their Octagonian president called us separatists. How can a terrorist become a separatist? You have told them in their court, you are not a Cameroonian, you are Ambazonian. Dr. Nyih is Ambazonian. And then Dr. Nyih will remain an Ambazonian, he will die Ambazonian. For those of you who have been displaced internally, externally, who are refugees, and every time you sleep and dream in the night, you find yourself back home, it's only telling you the days that the jails will be open and you come out, the days that you leave those faraway countries and come back home, they are within reach. And that process starts this year. And as I said, within the next 6-7 days, you will see the results, the beginning of the process of actualization. Actualization simply means recognition and the march to total freedom of the Ambazonian people. I thank your resilience, the people working day in and out within the organization. Sometimes we take credit as leaders. We actually don't do anything. We simply take what you've done and present to the people. I say thank you so much for standing with Dr. Cho, for standing with the Ambazonian people, for standing with the forces, for standing with the locked up, the incarcerated, for standing with the refugees, the wounded. There's so many Ambazonians doing marvelous things on the ground through their NGOs and through personal effort. That is of note. Ambazonia will remain indebted to all of your contributions, to all of your sacrifices, and that as one people, let this year be the year that we collaborate in order to end Cameroon's occupation in Ambazonia. As I said, the barbarians you see today in the names of bees and governors, you shall see them no more.
Hallelujah. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. And once again, on behalf of the Ambazonia Governing Council and the people of Ambazonia, thank you for taking our time this evening to talk to us. Thank you for encouraging our people. Thank you for reigniting the spirit of Ambazonia in the hearts of Ambazonians who maybe lose hope because a fighter died on the ground or because the leaders were picked up and they are now incarcerated. You have reignited and given them hope, and you've given them the promise that they've always wanted to hear. Liberation is what they want to hear, and as a sovereign Ambazonia is what we will deliver to them. So thank you very much. Our prayer is that God will continue to protect you and you will stay to be here and see La Republique go on its knees and make sure that Pobia, in fact, we were praying for Pobia to die, but now based on what you've said, in fact, I'll no longer pray for him to die. He should stay alive and see Ambazonian liberated. So thank you, sir. And studio, if you can take the vice president out, we will conclude this evening.
Thank you so much. And thank you, viewers. Have a lovely new year.
Thank you, sir. Okay, fellow Ambalanders, thank you very much for your time this evening. We've all heard from Dr. Julius Nyih. Forgive me, I don't know why I always try to call him Dr. Cho Ayaba. We've heard from the deputy leader of the Ambazonia War of Liberation about the strategic pillars that will guide us forward. This is what we've all been looking for, because there is, even in your own regular life, you plan your year ahead. And this is what he has done through these strategic pillars that he's talked about. And so, the sacrifices, he's also talked about the sacrifices of you and I, him, and those in prison, because those that are in prison sacrifice their freedom to be for Ambazonia. Those that are in the bushes, they sacrifice their homes, their freedom to live in those deplorable conditions. So all the sacrifices, he's talking about the vision, the unwavering determination that we require to bring on board so that our dream of a free homeland and sovereign Ambazonia can come to realization. And again, the roadmap to freedom is not just a document like we all know. It is a living and breathing call to action that determines the strength and courage of every Ambazonia. Whether you are on the front line, or you are in the diaspora, or you are contributing from anywhere, from your heartbeat or anything at all, just encouraging people. That is the living document we are talking about. So don't think that the roadmap is just going to be a document. It's a call for action. It's what we want to see happen in Ambazonia. So let us all put our heads together, work for the liberation of Ambazonia. The resilience is in the face of adversity is what makes us a people. It's absolutely okay to be frightened or be afraid sometimes, but the most important thing is for us never to back down. And this is what the leader just said now, that he will never back down. And I wish that this would be what you'll be telling yourself too, that you will never back down. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time, and Happy New Year to you and your family. And please continue, let's continue to mobilize our people in our respective countries, wherever we are. Continue to support our refugees, continue to support the fighters on the ground, their families, their children, and also our refugees and those in prison. Let us continue to support them in whatever way we can. If we continue to wait for United Nations Human Refugee Council to come and support them, or all these human rights big organizations, our people will die of starvation. Let us just, in any way we can, continue to support our people. So God bless you all. Short live the struggle and long live Ambazonia. God bless you.